would be best for you to leave.
You should be thanking me. I'm your last hope. No one wants you.
It looks like we just got some shocking news about Bridgerton. Seasons 5 and 6 are officially confirmed. And yes, we already know which siblings are stepping into the spotlight next. As for Season 4, here's the twist. It might not actually be Francesca's big moment, but her storyline could still turn out to be the most important one. If you're a bit confused right now, don't worry. Just stick with us till the end of this chat, and it'll all start to make sense. In some shocking new news that fans didn't exactly see coming so soon, Netflix has officially renewed Bridgerton for both a 5th and 6th season, even though we haven't even gotten Season 4 yet. It's a pretty big move because it shows that Netflix is all in on this Regency-era drama and doesn't plan on slowing down anytime soon. Considering how well the first 3 seasons have done, along with the Queen Charlotte spin-off, it's not all that surprising, but still exciting. Since each season of Bridgerton follows a different sibling's journey to love, people are already trying to figure out which characters will be in the spotlight next. The 4th season is set to focus on Benedict Bridgerton, so naturally, fans are looking ahead to Seasons 5 and 6 and wondering who's next in line. There are still a bunch of Bridgertons to choose from, but based on the original novels by Julia Quinn, 2 siblings seem to be the most likely candidates, Eloise and Francesca. Even though all 8 Bridgerton siblings have their own love stories in the books, the show has already started laying the groundwork for some more than others. And while Hyacinth and Gregory are technically still in the running, they're younger than the rest, so it wouldn't make much sense to jump into their stories just yet. That's why Eloise and Francesca are the most logical choices for Seasons 5 and 6. Eloise and Francesca are actually up next in the book series too. After Benedict's story in An Offer from a Gentleman, the next 2 books, To Sir Philip with Love and When He Was Wicked, focus on Eloise and Francesca. And the show has already hinted at what's to come. In Season 3, we saw both of them head off to Scotland, which was a big step for their characters. That move wasn't just about scenery, it opened up space for new chapters in their lives and potential romances. For Eloise, things were already tense by the end of Season 3. She'd had a major falling out with her best friend Penelope after learning she was Lady Whistledown. That discovery created a lot of distance between them, and her decision to leave for Scotland seemed like a way of figuring out who she was without Penelope in her orbit. Meanwhile, Francesca made her official debut in society that season and even got married to John Sterling, the Earl of Kilmartin, before also heading to Scotland. What makes Francesca's story particularly interesting is that the show has already made one very bold change to the source material. In the books, Francesca eventually falls in love with her late husband's cousin, a man named Michael. But in the show, that character has already appeared, as Michaela, a gender-swapped version. The 2 meet at the end of Season 3, and their interaction, although brief, seemed to spark something significant. So the show is clearly preparing to explore that storyline further, even if it's tweaking some things along the way. Because of how Season 3 ended, there's a strong chance Francesca's story will take center stage in Season 5. Her arc has already started to unfold in a way that makes it easier for the writers to jump into her journey next, even though Eloise's book comes earlier in the series. Netflix has already proven it's comfortable changing up the order. For example, they skipped Benedict's book in Season 3 to cover Colin and Penelope's romance instead. According to the showrunner, that was because the chemistry between Colin and Pen had already been set up in earlier seasons, so it made sense to move their story forward. If Netflix uses that same logic again, then Francesca might get her moment in Season 5, followed by Eloise in Season 6. And since both of them went to Scotland together, it could work really well if the next season continues to explore their parallel journeys. Francesca's new life as a wife, and eventually a widow, is especially rich material for the show, because her story in the books is deeply emotional and arguably one of the most heartbreaking. In When He Was Wicked, Francesca loses John just 2 years after they marry, and she also experiences a miscarriage shortly after his death. That kind of tragedy would bring a lot of emotional depth to the show, and although she's not the main Bridgerton sibling in Season 4, that doesn't mean she couldn't play a significant role. Bridgerton has shown time and again that characters outside the main love story still get plenty of attention and development, which means Francesca's story could build across multiple seasons even before she officially takes the spotlight. Another reason fans think Season 4 might set the stage for Francesca's arc is that the show could introduce a time jump. That would allow the story to cover John's death and the aftermath without having to drag things out too slowly. If Season 4 starts a few years after Season 3 ended, it would align more closely with the timeline in the books and give Francesca enough room to grieve, grow, and eventually move forward with Michaela. That progression could make Francesca's eventual season, likely Season 6, even more impactful because we'd already have witnessed her pain and her healing. Eloise's story, while different in tone, also promises to be compelling. In the book, To Sir Philip with Love, she starts writing letters to a widower named Philip Crane and eventually falls in love with him through their correspondence. The catch is that he has children and isn't quite the romantic ideal Eloise had in mind, so it's a relationship that pushes her outside of her comfort zone. The show has set up a different path for her so far, but that's not to say they can't work their way back toward the core of that book plot in a new and interesting way. Right now, Eloise's journey feels more like a mystery. Since she's been isolated from the other main characters and seems to be redefining herself, her story might require a bit more setup before it reaches its emotional peak. That's why some fans believe her arc will be held for Season 6, giving her the same kind of two-season runway Francesca seems to be getting. Regardless of the order, both stories will be big milestones for the show. Francesca's romance with Michaela, in particular, would mark a major step forward for Bridgerton's LGBTQ+ representation. Her stunned reaction to Michaela at the end of Season 3 already hinted at an unexpected connection, and if the writers build on that in Season 4, it could become one of the most meaningful relationships in the series. Michaela's introduction was subtle but intentional, and the show has the opportunity to develop their dynamic slowly, giving it the same kind of care and attention as any other love story. It also helps that all three key characters, Francesca, John, and Michaela, are confirmed to be returning in Season 4. So even if Francesca isn't the main focus just yet, her storyline is definitely going to evolve in a big way. At this point, the only thing we don't have is a release date for Season 4. Netflix hasn't officially announced when it'll drop, but it's expected sometime in 2026. That gives them plenty of time to shape these next chapters carefully and deliver something as rich and layered as what we've seen so far. And if the show continues down this path, mixing emotional depth, romantic tension, and inclusive storytelling, then Seasons 5 and 6 could end up being some of Bridgerton's most powerful ones yet.